I know that we didn't really get through our complete series on the subjects of witchcraft and evil spirits, and I felt that there was still more ground that we could cover to give you more teaching on it. There's nothing like having authentic stories. There's nothing like having it, let's say it like it is, right from the horse's mouth. Because this person that we have here with us today is going to share with us and tell us all of the things that have gone on in Africa regarding witchcraft. And I know that you are going to really learn a lot, just as I did when I was out there. And I found out that there was a lot more things that I didn't know. So we're always learning. I'm learning and you're learning, and that way we get to share with one another. So right now I'd like to introduce to you a very special person. And it's Mike Amorovokai. Mike comes from Benin City, and he is the Dean of the Bible College at Miracle Center in Benin City. Mike, I just consider it a real privilege to have you on my television program today. And I got to know you when I was there at the Miracle Center and had opportunity to teach in the Bible school. You are the dean of that Bible school.
Right.
And what else do you do at the center there, Mike?
Apart from being dean of the Bible school, I am the office manager in charge of the international office. And then I'm also pastor in the big church there. Associate pastor with Reverend Benson Idahosa.
Reverend Dr. Benson Idahosa. Can you tell me just a little bit about him?
He is the founder of Church of God Mission and started the PTL television program there. And then he's been a real wonderful man, and the Spirit of God has been upon him. And God has used him mightily in Nigeria and many parts of Africa. And even across the states he's known, you know. And you see, sometime in 1970, this young man started and believed God that God will use him to break down the powers of darkness in Africa, and not only Africa, but in Nigeria in particular, and then Benin City, that was once known as the City of Blood. And the Holy Spirit really used this man, particularly in 1970, and since then we have seen wonderful things, miracles, healings, deliverance, and all these things, and great revival. And since then, you see, God has been using him mightily in blessing the lives of people.
Well, now, the fact that you are the dean of the Bible school and you have, let's say, a very high position in this place, the things that we're going to talk about now, people have to know that you are an okay guy, you know, that you have, let's say, surety, and you know what you're talking about. Right. You're not just, let's say, someone off the streets. That you're going to be knowledgeable now in the things that we're going to share. Right. I might say that you are Dr. Benson Idahosa's right-hand man, in other words. This man who's been raised up of God to establish this center. And when I was out there, and I had also the opportunity to be with him on television, and he was getting the cornerstone laid for the foundation for the new television station there. And so this was a great privilege. But while there, I met you, and I found out that you had an awful lot of knowledge in the study of witchcraft. And of course, this was interesting to me because at that time I was teaching on the series, and I wanted to get more material with regards to what was going on in the area of witchcraft. So I felt that you, above anybody else, would be able to share with us and have authentic stories to be able to tell us exactly what goes on in the area of witchcraft and occult practices in Africa. Now, I know that the things that go on there are completely different to what goes on here.
That's right.
And we know we often talk about dark Africa. And it is, in a sense, very dark with regards to the light of Jesus Christ. Mike, when I was there, I noticed something very, very, let's say, dramatic, in that people's faces, you could tell by their faces that they were either born-again believers or not.
Right.
Now, what makes this difference? What such a complete contrast?
What makes the difference is that now when people get themselves involved in the worship of idols or demon worship, they give themselves totally. And when they get saved by the power of the gospel, they give themselves totally to the gospel.
So, in other words, there's no sort of black, gray areas.
There's no play, there's no compromise about it. You see, you're either a Christian or you're not.
And there is this such a marked difference then
Right.
in people. You say now that either if you're not a Christian, you give yourself over totally and completely to the worshiping of idols and the worshiping of evil spirits.
Right.
Do people know that they're worshiping idols or that they're worshiping evil spirits?
Oh, sure, they know what they are doing.
Uh-huh.
They know that they are not worshiping God. They know that the things they are worshiping truly are not God's. They know that they are worshiping the devil. Like, for example, when somebody gets involved in idol worship, he knows that that thing he is truly calling on is not God.
He knows that. It's not that he is duped or that he is deceived in that sense, but he knows that it's not God. Why does he worship this?
Well, that is because many people, what they do is that, you see, these idols, I'll start like this. Now, these idols come from, they are really ancestries. Okay, now, each family has its own idol.
Can you tell me what an idol might be like?
An idol could just be a piece of iron, or a piece of wood.
Or something like I've got here?
Yeah. Well, that's more like a charm.
This is a charm, not an idol.
No, that's not an idol. That's more like a charm.
What makes the difference between a charm and an idol?
Well, an idol is something they go to worship. They go there and call on the name of God there. You see, this is what they do. They get the sacrifice. Say they want to make a sacrifice to the idol. They get a sacrifice and call on the name of God and call on the name of the idol.
They call on the name of God.
They will say, something like this: God, accept this sacrifice through this idol. You see, they feel that is the way to God.
Well, that's their way to God. But they don't know that it is God.
They know that it is not God.
They know it's not, but it's just a way to God.
They think they can reach God like that, through that thing. Now, not only do people worship, pieces of stones or sticks or iron, but people give themselves to the worship of rivers and the worship of animals and all this.
Rivers?
Right.
Rivers and animals.
Right.
What would make them, you mean to say that they will see an idol, okay, made out of wood or stone. What would make them want to worship something like this? You say to find God, but do they ever sense any sense of peace from this?
Usually they don't sense any peace. You see, in idol worship, which is much more connected with witchcraft, it's always the devil is always asking for something. All right, they're always giving to the devil. You see, many of them, they worship idols because they want power.
They worship idols because they want power.
They want power.
Power to do what?
They want power to defend themselves. Power against witchcraft. Power against evil spirits. Power against maybe somebody, that has greater power than them. Maybe witch doctors and all these things. And so they think that by sacrificing and bring to those idols and bringing themselves under strict discipline, they can get all these powers.
So what type of strict discipline are you talking about here? What do they do now in order to try to get these powers?
Yeah, many of them refuse eating of some certain kind of food.
Denying themselves certain foods.
They deny themselves maybe women or something. Just body discipline.
And they feel that this is going to get them more of a grace with these idols.
Yes, as long as they don't involve themselves in eating of all those things or getting themselves involved with women or and many other things, they are sure that they will get the power.
So they actually believe now. This is faith, right? They have faith in these idols to believe that they are going to get something from it.
Right.
Now, do they actually get power? Do they get some form of their request? They do. They really
get power. Right.
Oh, then is their God a great God or what? How
No.
come they
The
get
thing is
these
that
powers?
their minds have been sold to Satan. That's it. And then Satan deceives them by giving them his power. Okay? Satan truly gives them power.
Satan has power.
Oh, sure. There's no doubt about that.
He has a lot of power?
He's got a lot of power. All right, and then these people are sold to, because when they get into this practice, they get the power from the devil, and they try it and the thing works. I mean, that increases their faith in the worship of the devil.
So does this say then that the devil has more power than God?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Oh, all right. What are you trying to tell us?
What I'm saying is that as long as somebody sells himself to the devil, he gets the power of the devil.
Okay.
But if somebody gives himself to God, he gets the power of God. And the Bible says that at the name of Jesus, every knee shall bow. So the power of the devil must bow to the power of God.
All right, now, but you say they get power. Supposing now that we have people watching here today, and they say, well, listen, if this devil has power, and he's got certain abilities to be able to give me the things I want, like what type of things would people ask for to get power? What you say power in over witchcraft, and so what? Can you give me something specific that they might pray for?
Okay, now for example, they can ask, you know, during the worship of the idol or anything, and ask a power, you know, to always overcome any enemy. You know, these people get into Satan worship and get different powers. You know, they get power to change into different forms of things. Okay?
They themselves turn into different forms of things.
And then they also get power, you know, not only to prove to the other person that they are stronger than them, but also to prove themselves as somebody important in the community.
When they get these powers, do they actually become important in the community?
Oh, sure. When they get the power and then somebody attacks them, maybe puts a spell on them, and then they are able to repel the spell back to the people, and then to that person, and that person gets killed by his own charm, which he has played on somebody, then that automatically becomes powerful. It is known. For example, people have gone to the extent of testing themselves. All right, they get to a party and they sit down, and somebody goes and brings a drink, okay, and then while serving the drinks, he puts some charm, you know, to kill the other person.
Is it a poison?
A poison. All right, to kill the other person. And then what happens? Immediately the person gets the glass of drink in his hand. The bottle, if it has been poisoned, the bottom of the glass will just go off the spot.
The bottom of the glass breaks?
Of the glass will just breaks up, and the liquid will be
goes
dumped. Right, it has happened many times.
And then what happens to the person who's holding the glass?
Well, the person holding the glass knows that somebody has, you know, wanted to kill him.
To kill him.
And so he knows it. And majority people will just do that, and they will be able to identify who did it.
So they know in that party then who is doing this sort of thing. So, and may I ask another question? You see, I'm a very practical person.
Okay.
Okay. You know, there's a lot of people wanting to know a lot of these things, and these things are all kind of new to me too. You see. Could it be possible that that stuff that's put in that glass has some type of a power in it that, I mean, a natural chemical that would cause the glass to break? Yeah,
I get the point. The line of, I get where you are thinking from. That is purely Western.
It's purely Western.
Right.
In other words, you're telling me that it's really not all that authentic, like to your country.
Now, what I'm saying is this, that there is nothing chemical about it. That thing has been poisoned. It's look, this is not chemistry. We're talking of, this is purely demonic power.
It is really genuinely some type of evil spirit power.
Right.
That it has nothing to do with any chemistry or anything that is causing that glass to break by some chemical or scientific reason.
No.
All right, now, so the glass breaks, and the person, does he knows then that somebody has got a hex on him, or he's going to try and kill him.
He knows.
How does he react after that?
Well, if he is a gentleman, he will just go away and then call the person and give him a warning. If he's not gentle and he's the haughty type, he will just on the spot react. Some of them will just sit down, like, you know, just sit down and give some incantations. And immediately he gives that incantations where he is sitting down, strange things will begin to happen to different members of the other man's family at home.
Like what?
Maybe his children getting into convulsions and all the other things.
Do you mean to say that somebody sitting in a room who having this kind of powers can literally have power over people of the same family and in their homes?
There's no doubt about that. Now let me tell you something. My uncle, I'm telling you now something authentic. Right. My uncle, you know, now was in a party. And then when he went there, you know what they call him? He's a shot. And what they call him the little axe because he's tough.
The little axe because he's tough. Okay.
All right. And then he was in a party. And usually they bring the palm, what they call the palm wine, and they bring it in in a gourd. You know what a gourd is. And so when he came there, somebody had gone in and put some poison into that thing. And then my uncle was to serve this drink to people. Immediately my uncle carried the, you know, what they do, they sit in a semicircle and everybody's, you know, talking. And immediately my uncle carried the gourd of palm wine. You know what happened? The thing just broke into two.
And the gourd was strong. What is the gourd made out of?
You know, calabash. It's a type of plant.
It's a type
you
of
know,
plant.
And then it brings out this big fruit, and all they do is they clean inside, and they use it to store drinks and store water and all those things.
And so, in essence, it's a very strong vessel
in essence, it is.
Under ordinary circumstances would not break.
Ordinary circumstances, it will not break, and many of it have even lasted for 4 or 5 years. So, and before you get one, you can put in the palm wine. It's a palm wine. Before you get one, it must be a real strong thing. It's not somebody just fragile thing.
What did your uncle do when this broke?
Yeah, immediately that thing happened. You know, my uncle knew what had happened. And he went home and got himself a lot.
He went where?
He went home and got things a lot. That he set up his own charms ready. You see, many people don't go.
He got his own charms ready.
Right.
Your uncle was not a believer in Jesus.
No, my uncle is not a believer.
I see. So he got his own charms ready. What type of charms did he get ready?
He got his charms, like, you know, putting on some, making on some, what do I call it? We call it amulet.
Omelet?
Yeah, amulet.
Armlet.
Yeah, and puts
something
it
on the
right.
arm?
Yeah, puts it in there, and then makes some incantations, and then rubs some things on his body, and then he's prepared.
Now he's prepared. Now what is he going to do?
Yeah. Now, usually what they do then is they go out again, and on some occasions they will just go to the person and tell him, "I think we should be friends. We shouldn't do this to each other." You see, then it was possible for somebody to just say, "Hey, today, because you have done this to me, your first child is going to die." And immediately he pronounces it, he can go home and then just make some incantation and get some powder and blow it in the air. And immediately, you know, the child would fall sick. I mean, there have been children, there have been many things happening before. You see, children dying suddenly, children dying while they are eating, and different kind of things happen.
Now, let me get this straight. So let us say now that this man who put this poison into your uncle's gourd, okay? And so now your uncle is displeased with this particular thing.
Yes.
He goes home and he gets ready his incantations.
Yes.
Are you saying to me now that your uncle could go to this man who prepared this poison and say to him, "Look, I'm going to put a hex on your child"? So this is how he's going to repay him back again.
Yes, repay him for what he's...
Supposing you said that they would be friends. In other words, he's saying to him, "Listen, if you don't leave me alone, then I'm going to put a hex on you."
Right.
So you're telling me now that there is power in witchcraft, and these people that believe in this, and they literally give themselves over to evil spirit power. They literally have the power to put the power of death on some member of someone else's family.
Yeah, just put death on anybody's family. And then in those days, there used to be a lot of competition, you know, and jealousy, and particularly in the villages. And when they see there's progress in somebody's family, and they say, "Oh, this guy is just progressing. His children are in school, his children are in secondary school, he's getting money, his family is just doing well, and everything about him is doing well." Okay, they will just decide to trouble the family and maybe put a curse on that family.
Okay.
Mike, and then
something?